Getting out of camp. It's taking me about half an hour to kind of do everything and get done. So I wanted to leave at like 7, but close enough. As you can see, it's another foggy morning. And the weather out here is kind of weird, where in the morning it'll be this foggy, really humid, kind of sticky, just kind of miserable weather, and then it'll clear up, and during the day it'll be like 80 degrees, sunny, and just like beating down on you. And then you get to camp and feels nice and like perfect weather, not cold at all, not hot at all. It's not windy. But then, 9, 10 o'clock comes around right when you're going to sleep, and you start to get chilly. And then, you wake up like now, and it's definitely got a little bit of a chill in the air. So the weather has been pretty calm though since Kissimmee River and the River Ranch, with those several days of wind and rain. It's kind of been mostly clear, or maybe a little overcast, and no more rain since then. So I think that was from the polar vortex that came in across the country and hit a bunch of other places with snow and everything else. But got about 25 miles today, and it's supposed to be like a little cafe or diner 7 miles in, directly on trail, that does biscuits and gravy and stuff like that. And gonna stop in there, assuming that they're open. It says they're open at 6 a.m, so we'll see. But I want to stop in there and try to eat, because I've been wanting some biscuits and gravy, and every time I try to go there, they haven't had it. 3 times now. One was at Billy Swamp, one was at the Big Cypress Landing, and the last one was at the cafe here. So I'm gonna go there, charge up, eat, kind of refill water and all that stuff while I'm there. And then it's like 25 miles, and that'll put me about 5 or 6 miles outside of town. And then the grocery store opens at 7, and the post office opens at 9. So if I wake up, I'll be 6 miles from town. If I leave at 7, I'll get to town like 8:30, and then I can do all my town stuff. The only thing is, I don't know where I'm going to camp after that, just because it's like a lot of road walks, and the first official campsite is 27 miles past the town. So if I go to that spot, it would be a long day, probably night hiking. But I think there is a town like maybe 20 miles into the day where you can stay at like a $50 cheap motel. And I might do that, because it would let me do more miles, kind of keep my average up. But I could also use a cheap motel just to... My feet are feeling better, like I've gotten taken care of, like all the blisters and stuff. But I do need to clean them up and do a little bit more work on them to where they're back to normal. So, and especially if I can kind of team up with Stevie Wonder. We've kind of been hiking together these last few days, just because we're going to that same post office. That, if I can split the $50 and it's 25 each, that's even better. So we'll see. So it's a little bit frustrating in this management area, whatever. The blazing is not great, and there's a lot of like junctions. Like obviously I'm on the perimeter, but there's like a lot of these like roads and that like turn off in here. I guess I missed one. I was expecting to follow this to a road crossing, and turns out I'm pretty far off trail. So I'm having to like, probably gonna add like at least a mile or two. Just kind of annoying, but you know, I can't really blame the trail, I guess. You know, my fault. I should have been paying more attention, but I know for a fact I got to one junction. It was at the corner of a fence post, and there was a trail straight in front of me like this. There was a trail off like a diagonal, and then there was a trail off to the right. And I sat there and looked, and there was zero blazes. So I pulled out far out, and I was supposed to go straight. And you know, I kept walking straight, and I never saw another blaze. So this section is just, it is blazed poorly, and I should have been paying more attention, I guess, after that first one wasn't blazed correctly. So this is power lines. I was walking down there along that fence line. This blue blaze here is putting me back on an actual trail, and it'll reconnect up here at a parking lot. I was looking back at the far out icons, and yeah, I put a comment. I said there could use a blaze at this intersection, and then maybe like 0.2, 0.3 later, there was one of these little side trails that kicked off. I didn't see a blaze, so I just assumed it kept going straight, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal. I've probably wasted maybe half an hour, and the weather's good. It's early in the day, which it's always more frustrating if it happens at the end of the day, I think, because you've done so many miles and you feel like you're almost there. Whereas at the beginning of the day, you feel like you got a lot of time to make up for it and forget about it as well. So yeah, it's kind of the first time I've really got lost on the Florida Trail, or I don't know if lost is the right word, but gotten off of the trail like that. It's usually really well blazed, almost over blazed. There was one section Stevie Wonder was telling me a couple days ago, he saw 10 blazes at once, kind of through one of these like open grassland prairies. So they do a really good job about it. Not so much through the Orlando roadwalk in the city, but when you're out here in the trail, you can almost always see 2 or 3 blazes from anywhere you're at. But for whatever reason, the junctions in this area are lacking. So upon further research, I found my mistake. So this right here was the junction that I was sitting at. There's a fence where you can see those green trees come down and intersect it on the left and the top. I was standing there looking for a blaze. There's the obvious red line there. There's the kind of 3 o'clock road that comes out. And then there's the 12 o'clock, which you can't really tell, but it follows this fence line. And there is a very wide path, like I was showing you that I was walking on. And I didn't see a blaze anywhere. So I opened far out and started walking. And I guess it was miscalibrated, or I read it wrong because I went straight up this fence line and followed this all the way back here, and then it finally gets to this corner and turns, and then I followed it all the way to here at this bigger road. So it's my mistake. If I would have read far out a little bit better, I could have avoided that, but I still stand behind the fact that it was not blazed because I specifically sat there and looked for one. Back there's the kiosk at the trailhead, picnic table, trash can, the orange blaze there, and the orange blaze right there. So a little bit of a detour, back on schedule. Due to my earlier off-trail misadventures, this next section I kind of cut off because it kind of loops down south and then loops back up north, and there was kind of like a convenient road walk that skipped all that. And once again, of course I was aware of it this time, but the junction where I kept going on the road and the actual trail, which was still a road, split, there was no blazing there either. So just one thing to keep a note about this section is keep your eyes peeled for where to go. But I think that that cutoff will make up the time that I lost. So I'm gonna check out this little, it looks kind of nice in here, just like a little picnic table. It's definitely nice. It's a little cramped. I guess if you had to, you could camp maybe like right there or sleep on the picnic table. But if you want to call that a water source, it's a little shallow and muddy, and it's got a lot of floaters in it, but I guess if you need it, you need it. So I'm, I think, just less than a mile or two from the cafe that is directly on trail. So fingers crossed this one is open. I'm looking forward to biscuits and gravy. And then, just like I said, a little quick spot to recharge, fuel water, and not have to get off trail to do so. Back here you got the picnic table, water spigot, and bathrooms. A couple of chairs to sit in. So that place was really awesome. It's directly on the trail. It has a water spigot in the back, tables to sit at, it had porta potties, it had a grill, good food, cheap food. They're quick to make it. It has a small resupply of like your basic gas station snacks and all the different kinds of drinks. And then in the front, sat where the electrical outlet was and charged up. And it's directly on trail, and the hours are really good. Opens at 6 a.m. I think it closed at 7 p.m. So, I mean, it's damn near a hostel, except for can't camp there. So, highly recommend it. I've pretty much fully charged up, and looks like we're gonna have several miles of road walking for most of the rest of the day, with a little bit of trail here and there. And it's another kind of hot day. As you can see, it cleared up again, clear skies. It's nice and sunny. Long road walk in the sun. It's pretty hot. Might pull out the umbrella here in a minute since it's not windy, but we'll see. So I did pull out the umbrella. It's kind of hard to film and hold it at the same time, but I'm still doing this road walk, and I got some trail magic from some FTA volunteers. So now that I got a hand-free walk on the other side of the road in the shade. One thing about this road is I've had to switch over 3 or 4 times. What is this? A vape? Either because trying to take advantage of the shade, or one of the shoulders gets smaller or too steep to walk on, or anyway, the people that gave me that soda, they had passed me going this way, and kind of gave me a friendly honk, and then they, I guess, went around and turned around, and I seen them coming back towards me a couple minutes later on the other side of the road, and they pulled off into the grass and just basically stopped and asked if I needed any water or if I wanted a soda. My water was still full from where I stopped at back at the cafe, so they gave me a Coke Zero and said that they were FTA volunteers. There's a couple driving like a camper van, and the lady in the passenger seat said she was still working or something. So I think she said that, presuming her husband driving had done the Florida Trail through hike before, and I think she said she might have done the AT, or maybe he did the AT as well. But yeah, it's one of the few times that I've gotten trail magic out here, so it's kind of cool to run into people that know what you're doing, even if they are like official volunteers for the organization. It's still nice to see a friendly face and kind of perks you up a little bit, I guess. We are turning on to that road there, 480. It's more the same, but I think it's slightly less busy. Looks a little bit more shaded, but it's 2.8 miles of this. I think we finally would turn off onto a trail at that point. I don't know what this dude's problem was. I'm pretty sure he was parked up on the side of the road up here doing who knows what in a pickup. I'm walking way over here. I'm not even in the road at all. Like 3 or 4 feet over here. He runs off the side of the road like 2 feet into the grass right where I'm walking and tries to run me over. And I have no idea why. Like I said, it's not like I was in the road blocking him. Didn't obviously say anything to him. I don't know, man. It's telling you once again, these road walks, it's the most dangerous part of this, because you got stupid ass people that, I'm more afraid of people out here than any kind of animal. It's 2:44. I've been walking for a while now after that guy tried to hit me, and I ran off the road and got a bunch of these on me. And these are the kind that if you try to pull them out with your finger, like they got barbs on them and they get stuck in your finger, and then when you pull them out, your finger bleeds. And I was wearing 2 pairs of socks, so I had a pair of socks over these that was covered in them, that I literally just had to trash. I mean, they were like Walmart socks anyway, but yeah, there was just so many in there I couldn't couldn't get them out. Then they had like all the little bitty spines and stuff that like broke off. So still got like 8.5 more miles to go to camp. I'm taking a snack break. One of the best foods there is on trail is a packet of Ritz. I'm also gonna have to put on a new pair of socks, because these, I think, are what caused me so much problem before. Is these holes in the bottom of my socks. You can kind of see it a little bit. That I don't know if that's the old one or a new one coming up, but I had these holes in my socks, and then it eventually grew into a blister that was like all in this area, like in between these toes. And I said it took me forever to get over that, and that's why I'm wearing 2 pairs of socks, is to keep this part from rubbing again. Because I think normally I don't have issues with holes in these, at least not, you know, eventually they get holes in them, but they last for quite a while. But I think with these Crocs, one of the only real complaints I have is that I get a lot of debris in here, and it's kind of loose around like my foot, because like I said, I didn't buy these, I found them. So they're like maybe a size or half a size too big. So I'll get stuff that comes in here, but also like this back heel is just completely open, and I'll get like little sticks or pebbles of gravel in there, and I think it just rubs this a little bit more. I think originally, because I had another pair of these I had to throw out that had holes in them. That's why they don't match, because I had to find a left and a right. But in Big Cypress, it was the sand that would get in there, and it's just like sandpaper under your foot. And then Brushy Bert was telling me that the water in there is slightly acidic. And he says a lot of times it'll eat at the glue in people's shoes, and I'm guessing it can probably also, I don't know, weaken your socks or the fibers or something, and make it more susceptible to getting holes. But I'm gonna dig out another pair of socks. Like I said, these blisters that I had on there were pretty miserable, and they're finally healing, and I really do not want to go through that again. So one other thing, so there's this sign here for a Florida trail event, and just some advice for any trail angels or whoever was putting this event on. As you can see, it's just like a long trail with nothing like immediately obvious. There's no date on this. There's also no description of what the event is or how far it is. And if you look on the Far Out app, like it's basically just a blue blaze that in like 2 or 3 miles eventually gets to a camping, like a tent site. And there's not really like a road or anything that I can see that would be that way. So I'm not going down there to figure out what it is. Like I said, that could have been from 2 years ago for all I know. So I did briefly meet up with Stevie Wonder back there at the road where I almost got hit, and we hiked together till here, and he's gonna keep going, and I was just taking a snack break and a foot break. So still have like I said, 8 miles or so to go till the end of the day. So if I haven't already mentioned it several times before, one of the hardest things about this trail is the logistics of it. Just because if you don't start with it, or if you do start with it and it breaks or doesn't work out, it's really hard, or at least very inconvenient, to kind of arrange to remedy that stuff. For example, these socks that I'm wearing, these are the new ones that I just replaced on top. I had to buy, the first ones I bought were from Dollar General, and they were just these like white, what they called athletic socks. Says they were made out of like nylon or whatever, but they quickly got holes in them, and these are the second pair that I bought. Well, I have several pair, but second type. And these are from Walmart, and they're like listed as some kind of athletic sock, but they're also pretty thin. They feel more athletic and synthetic and durable and all that than the Dollar General ones, but one pair that I've got has already got holes in it. So, you know, it'd be really nice if there was like a store that sold Darn Tough socks or Injinji socks that you could just go in and buy it, but that doesn't exist. And in hindsight, I probably should have gone to that Dick's back in, wasn't St. Cloud, whatever the city after St. Cloud was, Orlando technically, I guess, because that's probably the best store I would have found for potentially getting a replacement for these Crocs. I mean, the Crocs are working, but like I said, they're not ideal. And, you know, I still have another 600 or 700 miles to go. So, anyway, like the post offices, you know, everybody on every trail will tell you, like, don't use the post offices because, you know, they're closed on Sundays. The hours on Saturday are usually very short. A lot of times they have like a weird like 2-hour lunch in the middle of the day, or close on holidays and all that. Well, there's no hostels to send your stuff to here, so it's like you have to use the post offices. And part of the issue that I had in this section was the towns that I was going to, some of them don't have post offices. If they do have post offices, they're like very far away from the trail. The Inverness one is on trail, but in order to get there, I have to get there on Saturday. And it's just like a weird, like I have to average like 25 miles a day to be able to get there when it's open. It's just kind of a, even like the water is tricky because just as simple as like having a running stream to like wash your feet in, or to use to like wash out some of your clothes, or to take like a somewhat of a hiker bath in the stream to at least wash up a little bit. Like you can't do any of that stuff. There's caches, but I mean, you're not going to use cache water to like wash your socks or anything. I mean, that's kind of, I think, bad form to like just waste the water and stuff. But you know, it's stuff like that that, you know, you're dry camping most of the time, and all these little things that if you're not an experienced hiker, it can be hard to adapt. Even if you are an experienced hiker, it's sometimes tricky to get sorted out. So making do with it, but it is, I think it's harder because of that aspect than anything about like the dogs or the wet feet. I mean, I get that this year is maybe a little bit below average as far as rainfall and flooding and stuff, but the wet feet thing, like, yeah, okay, your feet get wet in Big Cypress, but that's about it. And maybe your feet will get wet on some of these parts that are like flooded for a couple of feet, but that's no different than any other trail that has like a stream crossing or something. Like if you want to on those trails as well as here, you can take your shoes off and go across it, or you can be lazy like most people and just keep them on and get wet feet. So I think the only thing that really holds up is the road walks. Like I said, I almost got murdered today, and I've had a couple of close calls other days, so they're definitely dangerous. But yeah, it's just, I would take what people say, even what I say, with a grain of salt, because I have a very different experience of this trail than what I thought it was going to be, based on what other people told me. This is the recreation area I'm staying at. The entrance gate is like over there. You come in, there's this pavilion that has several outlets on all the poles. It also has lights at the top, and then you know, it's got a bunch of these traditional campsites, and I'm pretty sure that that back there is the shower room, which we headed that way because the camping is behind that. And also probably gonna take a shower, get my feet cleaned up. So the comments say that's the shower room. Camp 100 yards plus back here for free. So I don't think, well, I mean, there's some good spots in there. I don't know if that, is that 100 yards? I don't really think there's much down this. Yeah, I'm gonna go to this side. I think the main thing is they just want you out of view of anybody that's going to the bathrooms. And that big pile of logs there serves a purpose for doing that. Yeah, there's kind of a trail back here. You can't see nothing back here. So, kind of thinking going there. So this is probably the last time I'm setting this up. It's kind of a same as usual. Still a little damp from this morning. I haven't been drying it out, but yeah, the bathrooms are like kind of, I won't focus, but they're over there. You can't really, I can't even really see it, but I'm far enough that even if you're looking back here, you can't see me. So gonna go take a shower. My feet, they feel fine, like the blisters are like calloused over or in the process of that, but they're still kind of rough. So it would be nice. I don't really have any Neosporin left, I don't think, but I'm gonna try to clean them up tonight. There's just like not good places to like go into town. Tomorrow in Inverness, there's a couple hotels, but I think they're like 150 plus. And then if we did like a full day, I don't know what the town is, but there's a town like 22 miles away. They got hotels that are like 150 plus, and it's gonna be on a Saturday night, so the prices are gonna be higher than what they would normally be. So could really use like a church camp right now where you just set up in the yard and you can take zeros for donations and wait a couple days for everything to really heal up, and you know, have just a water source to like wash your feet would be a game changer. But yeah, I think Stevie Wonder will be here pretty soon, and it's gonna be it for today.